who had great vision for the people of Kiambaa constituency. Rest well, Mheshimiwa Paul Koinange, Kiambaa MP. Then we also have Otiende Amolo, Member of Parliament, also saying that really saddened to learn of the passing on of my friend, Honorable Paul Koinange, MP Kiambaa and Chair National Assembly Security Committee. A good man, describing Paul Koinange as a good man, gentle, humble and kind. Rest with the angels, bro, meaning rest with the angels, brother. Then also Honorable Majagwa, saying that he's been saddened to receive the news of the demise of Honorable Paul Koinange, Member of Parliament for Kiambaa constituency. He's sending his message of condolences to his family, friends and constituents. May his soul rest in eternal peace. These are some of the messages that have been sent by some of the members of Parliament following that demise of Honorable Paul Koinange, who died early this morning while receiving treatment at the Nairobi Hospital. Then we also have Senator Gideon Moi, who says that he's shocked to hear that his good friend, Honorable Paul Koinange, is no more, and that he says his sudden death is a big blow to the nation because he was a towering patriot. Gideon Moi goes ahead to say that Honorable Koinange was a very humble man and dedicated leader who was committed to his work and the welfare of his people. That is what Honorable Gideon Moi has to say about his colleague at the Parliament buildings concerning the death of Honorable Paul Koinange. And the last one is from Justice Muturi, who is the Speaker of the National Assembly. He says that he's very saddened and describing Honorable Paul Koinange as a passionate leader and always ready to serve the interest of the country and government. His death is a great loss, not just to his family, but also to his constituents and Kenya. That is the message, the condolence message from Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi, right there talking about the man that he was leading at the National Assembly as his Speaker. But then let me also bring in another person who's worked very closely with Honorable Paul Koinange at the county level, and I'm talking about Kiambu Governor James Nyoro, who's joining us via way of phone. Honorable James Nyoro, good morning. I know it's a good morning, especially for Kiambu residents following the death of Honorable Paul Koinange, but kindly talk to us about the kind of person that you knew.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's really saddening to hear of the passing on of Honorable Paul Koinange. Paul actually is not just a politician to me. He was my confidant and a great friend. We've known one another for many years, even when he was working in South Sudan. And I can tell you that we have really lost a great leader, a person who is very, very passionate about development. Somebody who is a great supporter of unity. He had actually marshaled a lot of development for Kiambaa people, and more importantly, he was actually acting as a full-time employee in the Security Committee. He could be seen all over the country supporting the president to ensure that the security officer in the parliament was working well. And more importantly, lately, he was a great crusader of BBI. I can tell you that among the few leaders in the two countries who came out openly to support His Excellency the President on the hardship and also the BBI initiative, Paul Koinange was one, and he did it with passion, he did it with dedication. And I can tell you that I'm not only a friend, the people of Kiambaa was a great leader. We in Kiambu are moving because we lost such a great crusader, and the country has lost dedicated staff.
All right. And you know, Kiambu County, in less than a month, you've lost another member of parliament, because in less than a month you lost Juja member of parliament. Again, today Kiambu is in mourning. But then he was such a strong man, you know, when it comes to championing for unity in terms of building bridges initiative. He was at the forefront in Kiambu County doing that. But what exactly stood out for you when he was leading the people of Kiambu County, probably some of the development projects that he was working on at the constituency level and also at the county level together with you?
Paul was very, very passionate and was not looking at development so that he can appease people to be elected. I remember one of the projects that he was very passionate about was a dam in Kiambaa. And he kept on telling me and calling me. We went pressuring and solicited for funds to put up that dam. Paul was very, very passionate about road infrastructure in Kiambaa. As you go up and go, it's one of those areas which are coming up, the residential area, particularly water area, the development of the Western Bypass. And he was very, very passionate that by the time the Western Bypass is complete, the roads within Gashie and all the way to Kihara and deep Shianda will be done. We had a meeting with him on the 28th of February. Which was a BBI meeting, which incidentally, when I look back now, I see that was a very meeting. Because he held it in Mushaga, one of the places that you can say are not as developed as the rest of Kiambaa. And we sat there and looked at some of the things that we need to do in Kiambaa. So I can tell you that this is a great leader. He's a visionary leader and one who actually brought in unity in Kiambu. And as you know, Kiambu unity is not something that we keep on talking about. We are more divided than united. But this is one guy who was a crusader of unity and supporter of the president, and one who could not be moved by what he believed in.
And finally, Governor, as we bring this conversation to an end with you, he succumbed to COVID-19 related complications. It's a clear indication that the country is in dire need of a serious solution. Yes, we are talking about offering vaccination, but of concern again to the national government is the lack of enough cylinders for the oxygen. What do you think county governments need to do in terms of preparedness, more preparedness when it comes to COVID-19?
Well, I think more than that, I think the most important thing is to observe the lockdown that the president introduced last Friday. And I've had some readers, some of them national readers, criticizing the president, some of them church readers, on the lockdown. And what is more than life? I mean, Paul wants to do business, but he won't do it. He's no longer. I think people need to support the president on this lockdown. We need to observe the containment measures. I think for the county, what we need to do is to prepare for the worst case scenario. For us in the county, we actually installed bulk oxygen in 5 of our facilities. I think the problem right now is that we are exhausting the tanks faster than we can fill them. And as you heard, we have to continue to ensure that we get enough supplies from BOC and others. We need also to get additional isolation facilities because we don't know how this phase is going to turn out, and we don't know whether there's going to be a third wave. I think we have to take the worst case scenario and work on it. We would rather get a better or a good case scenario, but work on the worst case scenario. And more importantly, is to say that this disease is not a respecter of persons. It is not, discriminating between who and who, and therefore everybody should take care. We do what we are supposed to do to prepare and also to observe the protocols.
All right. Thank you so much, Kiambu Governor James Nyoro, talking to us about Kiambaa Member of Parliament. Remember, Kiambaa constituencies in Kiambu County. He's telling us on how they worked very closely with the late Paul Koinange. But let me bring in a man who worked also very closely with the Honorable Paul Koinange at the National Assembly. I'm talking about our Member of Parliament, Otiende Amolo, joining us via way of phone. And Honorable Otiende Amolo, thank you so much for joining us here on KTN News Center. Definitely it's not a good morning for Members of Parliament for having lost yet again one of their own. And looking at your message of condolence this morning, you were saying that you're really saddened to learn of the passing on of someone you've termed as a friend and a patriot, humble, gentle, and kind.
Indeed, it's not a good morning at all. We learned with great sadness the loss of my friend, Honorable Paul Koinange. We knew that he's been in a critical situation lately, but we were praying and hoping that he would recover. I would say 4 things of Honorable Koinange. First of all, he was not your typical politician. Most politicians are loud, abrasive, and assertive. Honorable Koinange was humble, he was soft-spoken, and he was cool. Secondly, and as the president said in his message, Honorable Koinange was a nationalist at heart. He had the idea of uniting the Kenyan ethnicities, especially using the organs of the Council of Elders. I know that for starters, he even donated his own land to the Kikuyu Council of Elders somewhere in Ruaka. And I know that he was fostering the unity of various ethnicities, including recently, he was one of the few MPs who even came all the way to Bondo, leading the delegation to meet the Luo Council of Elders. And I knew he was organizing a similar visit to Nyeri and with other ethnicities. Indeed, he even took time just about 3 months ago to come all the way to Rarieda, to the home of the late Achieng' Oneko. And we met the family of the Honorable Achieng' Oneko, and he narrated how his own father used to be the PA to Achieng' Oneko and what Achieng' Oneko did to them as a family. I would say that Honorable Koinange was generous. He recently helped me establish a fundraising where we established a girls' school in Rarieda called Ragengni Girls, and we had planned another such initiative as soon as the COVID situation improved.
Right.
And lastly, he was definitely a very committed person. He was committed to the people of Kiambaa. He was committed to his work as the chair of the Administration of National Security. In fact, it is sad because his work as the chair had to take him to various parts of Kenya, even in the middle of the pandemic. And I think it is his commitment to his work that may have put him in the line of fire for COVID. Unfortunately, has succumbed to COVID. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
About succumbing to COVID, there's some, some of your colleagues who've actually opposed the decision that the government has taken in terms of trying to lower the number of COVID-19 infections in the 5 counties, the red corona zone counties. What do you have to say about that?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's any current member of parliament who is opposed to the measures the president has taken as such. In fact, only yesterday, we adjourned the sitting of parliament for 30 days in order to help reduce the instances. I think the only 2 issues that have been sort of in contention. One is whether it should lead to total lockdown of services. For example, Parliament. Should Parliament completely just suspend its work, or should we regulate it so that we meet, not so often, and we meet very few people and for very short hours, rather than, basically the total suspension. The second issue that has been in contention is what are the additional measures that should be taken to cushion citizens from the effects of those measures, especially, for example, those who work in restaurants and elsewhere. But in fairness, it cannot be, and it should not just be the work of the president. Even we in Parliament must start thinking of what other measures we can recommend so that even the citizens are cushioned against this effect. But to the best of my knowledge, and given the number of us who are members of Parliament who have succumbed to the COVID virus or who are right now in hospital on its account, I don't think anybody in their sane mind can fault the president for taking such measures.
Honorable Otiende Amola, as we wind up, what will you miss about Honorable Paul Koinange? Because he was a man who's also, a champion of the Building Bridges initiative at his county, at his constituency in Kiambu County and also Kiambaa constituency.
I can tell you that he was one of only 3 members of Parliament I know from what you call the larger Mount Kenya, who honestly and genuinely believed in the Building Bridges initiative from the word go, and maintained that belief throughout and did everything to promote it. That is to be missed. Secondly, he was the chair of Administration and National Security, and that is a docket that deals with a lot of things. And virtually every day, there would be a minimum of 5 questions asked by members of parliament. But he was always that phase of humility. He would bring answers to all those questions, but very humbly, that hardly any member of parliament would fault him in terms of how he delivered it and the mode in which he delivered it.
All right. Thank you so much, Otiende Amolo, a member of parliament who's termed the late Koinange as a friend, a humble man, a person who was devoted to his work as the chair of the National Assembly Security Committee. Talking about that, I can see also Honorable Dr. Fred Matiang'i, Interior CS, saying that his heart is broken by the terrible news of Honorable Paul Koinange's death. He describes him as a father figure, a great model of a Christian leader. He's mourning him in truth and deep frustration. He was the indisputable steady and stabilizing factor in the National Assembly Security Committee, showing that they worked very closely. And further going ahead to say that my colleague, Dr. Fred Matiang'i's colleague, and himself in the internal security sector will miss his wealth of experience, unparalleled wisdom and political maturity that strengthened us all. And finally saying that he's sending his message of condolence to the family, friends and the constituents of Kiambaa constituency in Kiambu County. This is a man who worked very closely with Honorable Paul Koinange because of the security matters that they were handling. He was handling it as the chair of the Security Departmental Committee at the National Assembly, working together with Dr. Fred Matiang'i, the CS for Internal Security. But then also President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent a message of condolence, and I'd like us to have a look at it now, the message that the President of the Republic of Kenya has sent to the people of Kiambu. There you have it. The head of state goes ahead to say that he's mourning Honorable Paul Koinange as a keen and steadfast supporter of the country's peace agenda through the National Assembly's departmental committee. He goes ahead to say that on definitely where he served as the chairperson, the cruel hand of death has robbed us of a steadfast leader, a leader and a gentleman who had undivided focus. That is the message of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and he goes ahead to say that when it came to peace, he worked towards the country ensuring there was peace, stability, and progress of our country. And through the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security, where he was the chairperson. And talking about that, just a reminder of how passionate he was about the Kapeda incident in January, and he was in the media talking about it. And he goes ahead, finally, the president goes ahead to say that Honorable Koinange advanced legislation and policy interventions that sought to create a peaceful, stable, and tranquil nation. That is the message of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the party leader of Jubilee Party, who's lost a member of his party, and also a member of the Jubilee Party who's chairing one of the most important dockets at the National Assembly. That is the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Security. Remember the last time Honorable Paul Koinange was seen, addressing members of the press? It was in Mombasa, January, where my colleague, Michael Tobias Chanji, gave us that live coverage of Honorable Paul Koinange, just talking about, the issue in Kapedo that saw two senior police officers killed. And he said that